Hello, everybody. Welcome to Thursday. The S&P 500 was up 0.5% today. Not a bad day, actually. Just kind of churning sideways. We hit that all-time high last week. Dropped, on Monday with the deep seek, you know, fall, I guess you want to call it. And obviously, we're kind of working our way back up slowly but surely, in my opinion. This is earnings week from all the big companies. Next week's kind of continues on. So you're going to get some volatility and what have you too. We did see the small cap index do better than the other indexes today. Um, and in general, we saw today some broadening of the market. And that's actually, there's a question that came in the comments about, should we basically be looking at, say, the Russell 1000 versus the S&P 500 for more diversification? I'd say actually those indexes are pretty close together. The Russell 2000, which is the small cap index, is actually much different than the S&P 500. But my favorite index of all is the Vanguard Total Stock Market Index, which basically owns every stock on the market. So if the market does start to get broad, index like that does quite well. It's the index we use to compare ourselves to, the market. So when we look at our performance, we look at Vanguard Total Stock Market Index. They have an ETF with a ticker symbol VTI. So here's my thought on the breadth. The breadth is going to come here if the bull market continues to develop in the normal way that a bull market will develop, which is you start to get enough confidence in the market and you start to see some of the smaller stocks, they don't have as much in the way of name recognition and earnings and safety. And so you have to be in an environment where there's kind of a risk on environment where people are willing to take more risk to see that breadth. And so we are seeing some breadth that's being caused just by the fact that, there's a lot of other places to invest than just those magnificent seven stocks. However, what we have seen here is when there's some uncertainty, you can even take the pandemic itself. When the market dropped 35%, Apple and Microsoft did much better than that during that period of time because the safe haven money might be going to treasuries and those types of things. But for those people, and especially the big money that still wants to stay in the market, they look at these big companies like NVIDIA and Microsoft and Apple and what have you as safe havens because of their cash. Their balance sheets are unbelievable. The cash flow, the name recognition, and all those types of things. So we've seen kind of an off and on market in the last 6 months where, it gets narrow and then it gets a little broader and then it gets narrow again. And I think every time it gets narrow, it's because there's some uncertainty that's coming up. So heading into this administration, some uncertainty, what's going to happen with, tariffs or those type of things that people are worried about. And all of a sudden we'll see kind of Magnificent Seven doing well. Now, right now, the Magnificent Seven, for all intents and purposes, is reporting their earnings. So that can be a really weird time. I wouldn't pay too much attention to what's happening right here. I'd be focused more. So if you're going to go towards more breadth, if we're going to see that happen, we're going to need to see more stability in the overall environment. And, I don't think we're going to get that for a little while just because of, there's some changes that are happening. I think it can happen. I can think it can happen the second half of this year or what have you. We should also be starting to see some IPO market pick up and those types of things. We're 2.5 years, give or take, into a average of a 5-year bull market. And so by this time is when you start to see some of that breadth coming and you start to see some of this movement from the IPO market also. So hasn't happened yet to a degree that I would be too concerned about it. We are seeing a lot of different areas do fairly well that weren't doing that well even a year ago. So there is some breadth happening, but I guess if I was going to, play that, I would probably buy that Vanguard Total Stock Market Index and let, I own all of it that way. Now it is capitalized weighted, so it still moves mostly based on these big, companies. And if you really want to diversify, then you maybe add more Russell 2000 to get into that small cap exposure or something along those lines. There's a bunch of different ones out there. So anyway, that's the market today. We got the gross domestic product that came out. That was 2.3% for the fourth quarter. Consumer, again, did really well there. Really resilient U.S. consumer, still driving things. So we have a good economy. We have a good stock market altogether. Things are heading in the right direction. So, we'll see how everything else plays out, but look forward to seeing tomorrow. Again, won't have the show tomorrow. Ethan's on vacation, but I will do a little summary of the week as far as that goes. And it's been an interesting week, that's for sure. Look forward to talking to you then. Thank you.